just want to read to you the paper that I made, that I wrote yesterday about people with disabilities. I titled this reflection essay, Perfect Imperfect. Disabilities should not be labeled as inabilities. People who were born with disabilities should not lose heart, because I have a sister who had a disability. And although it breaks my heart to see her living in that condition, I don't lose hope. She was full of life, like no care in the world, because for her, the world she lives in was magical in a way that people like us don't understand. My sister had autism and cerebral palsy. She grew up to be a normal little girl, very pretty indeed, but she stopped talking when she reached 5 years old. It made me wonder why was that she was born with autism when all three of us were normal. It made me wonder why up until now. However, when I visited my family in 2019, I saw her grow up taller and so disconnected from the world. It bothered me. But when I took a close look at my sister, she was smiling and she had the habit of putting food organized on her plate. She put it as if she knew about food arrangements, putting the dish beautifully on her plate. It didn't seal the worry that I was feeling toward my sister's condition, but this gave me a realization that I don't have to feel sorry for her. People with disabilities are people who are creative and imaginative. People who can't talk like my sisters have a strong sense of connection to their surroundings. They appreciate the world by simply enjoying the simple details in her life. Just like my sister, who was enjoying her plate full of her favorite food. People with disabilities should not limit their dreams and live their life to their fullest potentials. According to the article that I read by Carlson, people with disabilities, in fact, can do the things normal people can do to be happier in life, like being independent. They only need to try everything on their own without letting their situation rob that opportunity of their independence. This way, they will feel good about themselves and they will not feel that their disabilities will prevent them to do the things that they can do. Of course, this is not easy to do. They should have an acceptance first and feel that their disabilities are not a hindrance to their success. People with disabilities should embrace their individuality. Of course, when a person was disabled, it could be a stressful thing sometimes, and fitting in is a challenge. However, knowing their selves or embracing their uniqueness allows them to invite an ideal positive life. It doesn't mean that people with disabilities should distance themselves from people because of their uniqueness, but they need to connect to people to whom they can relate. They need a support group, someone who knows their daily struggles because they live them too. Family, of course, should be the primary people who will be on their support group. However, it's important as well that they can find people to who will accept them fully. With this being said, they should surround themselves with positive people only, only. Because it is similar to people with no disabilities. Our life will be healthier if we have positive people around us. That is exactly true. People with disabilities needs positive people who will encourage them, who will inspire them, who will love them unconditionally, and who will not make them feel pity for themselves. Their disabilities are not an excuse for them to not discover the skill that they're good at. Everyone needs to be good at something. People with disability can focus on learning their strengths and skills instead of feeling sorry for themselves. With the help of the positive people in their circle, they will be inspired to focus on their potentials and things that can lift their spirits and not focus on their disabilities. It can be easy to face limitation when you have disability. but extending a hand to those in need or losing your own experience and encourage someone to live life despite the struggles will make a meaningful impact on their life. It doesn't mean that if you're disabled, you're the only one who always needs help. People with disabilities can use their voice to show people that disability will mark their chance to be happy. Faith plays an important part in us, and faith can help more uh, people with special condition discover their true life purpose. The above mentioned are not going to work out, or what I mentioned, if, of course, you don't have faith in God and yourself. Your disability will not prevent to attend church mass or being active in your religion. Worshipping to God will give us purpose, knowing that God is in control. Your disability should not stop you from having faith despite your disabilities. Like, exercising is not only limited to people without disabilities. If you were born with no arms or legs, just like Nick Vujicic, it might be a strange idea for you to exercise. But Nick Vujicic didn't mind his disability, and instead he focused on the things that he can do, like painting, swimming, skydiving, and surfing. He became a world-renowned speaker and visited more than 57 countries and given over 3,000 talks. Can you imagine that? If Nick can do it, then why can't you? Why let the disabilities go in your way? That's why there is a Paralympic Games, because this one are dedicated to athletes with disabilities. It is a major international sport which is split into winter games and summer games. This is only an example of having a disability doesn't mean you cannot do the things you think impossible due to your condition. I love the motto of Special Olympics that goes like this: let me win, but if I cannot win, let me brave in the attempt. This is to show to people with disabilities that a winning, being brave to embrace their individuality despite their disabilities is more than winning that gold medal. Octavia E. Butler was a renowned African American author who received a MacArthur Genius Grant and Penn West Lifetime Achievement Award for her body of work. She was an author of several award winning novels, including The Parable of the Sower, which was a New York Times Notable Book of the Year, and Parable of the Talents, winner of Nebula Award for the Best Science Fiction Novel published that year. Butler came from poverty. Her mom worked as a housemaid, and her father worked as a shoe shine. She had dyslexia, which made her an easy target for bullying and led her to believe that she is less as a person, ugly, stupid, and hopeless. Aside from her disability, she also grew up in amid racial segregation. To escape her situation, Butler often passed time at the Pasadena Central Library, and thus she developed her love for literary work, which started from being fascinated with fairy tales until she became interested in science fiction. Her love for writing increased as she desired to write and publish a story. Octavia didn't focus on her disability, the racial issues, or even the discouragement of her aunt Hazel said that Negroes can't be writers. But she persevered in her desire to publish a story and follow her desire to publish her story. Which, if were not because of her faith and perseverance, we will not know her today. Her story didn't inspire only the people with disabilities, but she also inspires aspiring writers to keep on writing and hold on to their dreams. I was inspired both by Nick Vujicic and Octavia E. Butler, people who are born with disabilities, but they don't let this stop them from achieving their dreams. I had my struggles growing up, and although I was born with complete limbs or no mental or social issues, I felt that I'm no different from people with disabilities if I only focus on the situation that will prevent me to have a happy life. I'm giving my best to my work and my study, but at the same time, I don't let it drain me or burn me out. I realize that it doesn't mean you were born normal, you're luckier or more privileged than people with disabilities. We are just the same people with disabilities or not. We all undergo some struggles to find our identity, fitting in this foreboding society and defeating or facing our fears. People with disabilities have only uniqueness, and so society only label them as someone who needs assistance. Why is that we remove that label and instead make them feel that we are not sorry for them? After all, we are all disabled differently. We are imperfect people, but perfect in God's eyes, who doesn't label us whether we have a disability or not. Because for God, we are all perfect, imperfect people. That's all for now. I hope you learn from this reflection of mine about people with disability and about us people. Thank you.